It's 111 and we about to get started. 111 and we about to get started. 111 and we about to get started. It's 111 and we about to get started. 111 and we about to get started. It's 111 and we about to get started. Yeah. Let me see something. I know what I gotta do real quick. Everybody, I'm pretty sure. Actually, should be pretty good with the sound, but let me see real quick. Oh, I got this. Okay. I think that's what, a little bit better? Is that better? Yeah, I think that's a lot better. All right. So yeah, this is gonna be a crazy little little live. Basically talking about how communist China is in our backyard. Them with others, okay? The threat at hand, and yeah, I just got this download tonight. I was just surfing the internet, and one video led to another, and I just got the idea to put this out. Basically, yeah, this was the big one right here. The Chinese launder hundreds of millions for global crime groups, and it just had to be tied to the cartel. Okay, so just basically what we about to be on. We about to just get started up in here. We are going over how basically China is helping the cartels, and also other things going on with all the other nations in a mix right now. I'm gonna be going over all this. I just got to download. Started with one video and it led to a couple others, and yeah, I think I kind of got the gist on what's going on. This is a 39-minute video, and I haven't watched it yet though. And I doubt I'm gonna watch this whole thing. Yeah, hold on. I gotta set this up on my phone just real quick, so I'm gonna play a track and get it started. I'm feeling high. I'm feeling high. Feel like I could touch the sky. Like David, I could be Goliath. I'm feeling high. Feel like I'm walking on the sky. Like David, I could be Goliath. You see the fire in my eye. The spirit got me inspired. I can feel it rise. It's coming from inside. The darkness coming out, so we gotta bring the light. Demons running around and they tryna take our life. Better stay sharp, baby. You better keep your knife. I'll ride with your sword, so I'm gonna be alright. When the demons come, then it's gonna be on sight. Yeah, on sight. Yeah, I feel a rise. I was born to fight, a warrior until I die. For your majesty, yeah, you know that I'm a ride. Yeah, I'm a ride. It's my life. Speaking y'all words so they can't face me. My words bring light, so you know the demons hate me. But you can't be mad at me, no, I ain't make me. I live this life 100 times, none of this shit faze me. No, it really can't faze me. I'm reading scriptures daily, catch meditating, living in the present, so we always moving strong. Y'all living like fake rappers and these niggas, they be clone. I didn't think I could do it, but I did this shit alone. They thought that I would sink like a drone, I'm still flown. They wait until I die out, but I'm still going. They wanna see it pan out, and now I'm knowing. They never shown love when I was at my lowest. riding in the Benzo, shout out to my angels.
Feeling like a dream, yeah.
Ain't nowhere I can't go. Travel dimensions, close to heaven is inches. Spiritual assassin, I'm on a mission. It's a war, you gotta stay vicious.
Now I see why all my life
They try to knock me down. They ain't never let me in, they try to lock me out. But I'ma stomp on all these demons, I'ma stomp them out.
Stomp 'em out. Stomp 'em out. Walk 'em down. Stomp 'em
I'm feeling high.
Feel like I'm walking on the sky.
Walking on the sky.
Like David, I could be Goliath.
I could be Goliath.
You see the fire in my eyes.
See the fire in my
The spirit
eyes.
got me inspired.
I can feel the rise.
It's coming from inside. The darkness coming out, so we gotta bring the light. Demons running around and they tryna take our life. Better stay sharp, yeah, you better keep your knife. I ride with your sword, so I'm gonna be alright. When the demons come, then it's gonna be on sight. Yeah, on sight. Yeah, I feel a rise. I was born to fight, a warrior until I die. For your majesty, yeah, you know that I'm a ride. Yeah, I'm a ride. It's my life.
Bro.
Yeah,
What is going on, bro?
stud.
Hold on. This page has gotta be being monitored, bro. Get up out of here if you monitoring my shit on some weird shit. It's like, bruh, why can I not get to my stream manager right now? That shit playing games with me. That shit don't work on the freaking... On this, I'm be hot. Swear, every time I try to go live on one of these, there's a little bug or something weird going on. I swear it. I swear it. Alright, okay, we good. Alright, let's get started, man. Got the intro song knocked out. Now let's get started with this. We're going over, once again, we're going over the communists, the China communists, basically being involved with the cartels, not only the cartels, but also Iran and North Korea and Russia and China, all of them getting together too. So this is all happening real fast. This information came out about how they're laundering hundreds of millions of dollars, basically from fentanyl sales, basically all kind of drug sales, that the Chinese nationalists are the ones that's actually helping them launder all this money, okay? So I just found it a little weird. Well, not even a little weird, a lot of weird. Basically, based off the fact that we've had so many Chinese migrants coming from the Mexico border. I think that's a little weird, right? I really thought that was weird when I first seen it. Couldn't really fit like my head around it. You know, it didn't really make sense. But now it makes sense. Okay, I kind of knew, like, in the first place, like, why are they coming? Like, seems like they come to be soldiers. Like, that's kind of what I thought at first. So yeah, we're basically gonna be going in on this whole topic. And yeah, let's check out this video. I have not seen the video, so I'm reacting also. Okay.
Chinese money launderers have partnered with Mexican drug cartels to efficiently launder the proceeds of the fentanyl trafficking.
Law enforcement in this country has not got sufficient tools to tackle it.
They're really on the rise as the dominant money laundering networks.
Abbiamo certificato che venivano qui a consegnare emissari di famiglie criminali dai più disparati territori nazionali.
These are franchise models, highly sophisticated. They could be stood up quickly and move a lot of value in a lot of different directions simultaneously.
The scale and the scope of this is really quite extraordinary.
We started bringing all the elements of the government together because it was a national security issue. It was a matter of life and death.
So they're already putting it up in here. Okay. It's a matter of life and death, y'all. This video just dropped 6 days ago. Okay. And they're talking about how they're doing this. Okay. So this is like crazy. With the rest of the stuff we're gonna go over, this is gonna be like crazy, all right? I'm probably have to skip through this too, because it's a long video. I'll skip through parts and kind of see where information ain't that
In
relevant.
2017 and 18, something significant happened. We didn't know why. We couldn't understand why. Suddenly, Chinese money brokers began to control the laundering of Mexican cartel proceeds. And they started to do it for 1% to 2%. Those were charges or broker fees that were unheard of. We believe that the Mexican cartels increased their bottom line, their net profits, by 3% to 5% by simply partnering with Chinese money launderers.
In the 1990s, as China liberalized economically, as Chinese business started moving around the world, a system of Chinese underground banking or money exchange system developed in places where Chinese businesses were expanding, catering to businesses often operating with legal commodities in legal economies, but needing to move money they would not be able to move through the Chinese banking system.
And what these underground banks do is they transfer money according to something that's called mirror transfer. A person, let's say, on the one end of the network will arrive with a sack full of money in cash, deposit it at the underground bank, and then through this mirror transfer, another person will pick up the same amount of money from the other branch of the same underground banking network. The crucial thing about this is that no money has actually been transferred. It's completely invisible to the authorities that might wish to crack down on it. This illicit money finances all kinds of things. It finances shopping sprees by Chinese consumers who want to buy luxury in Europe. It also finances, we have evidence, the international drugs trade, and is particularly germane when we think of the big crisis of fentanyl that's currently affecting the United States.
As we continue.
Yeah, the fact that they're teaming up to push fentanyl into our country, just think of what I just said. China, the cartels, are helping each other push fentanyl into our country. When fentanyl has such a high death rate, such a high addiction rate, just think about that. It sounds like they literally trying to invade and kill us already. Kill us with the drugs first, and then come with the guns later.
Continue our coverage. The DEA reports fentanyl overdose. It is the leading cause of death among those under the age of 50. And they're warning communities that one pill can kill.
It's the deadliest drug threat our country has ever faced.
I cover law enforcement here in New York for the Financial Times, and in the course of meeting with a former DEA agent in a Manhattan skyscraper, halfway through our meeting, he said, "Forget what you're working on now. I have a far bigger story that's being ignored."
Okay, let's go here.
Another fentanyl bust in the Bronx, just blocks away from the daycare where a 1-year-old boy died.
Wow.
We would see an organization that we identified through our investigation that was a fentanyl distribution network, dropping off drug proceeds to a Chinese money launderer here in New York City. And then that launderer would then bring money through our investigation to an MSB or money service provider in Flushing, Queens. And from there, we would launch a different sort of investigation that became more about following the paper trail of how the money is leaving through these stores, because they were fronts. Often you'll see a business that, from the outside looking in, it looks like it's one business, but once you walk inside, there's multiple businesses within. And that's where you'll see that they'll have a money service provider set up to launder illicit drug proceeds on behalf of the criminal organizations.
Wow.
We had a saying,
Underground,
all
secret stuff,
roads lead back to Flushing. The reason we said that is we identified command and control, leadership. All these things sort of centered back to Flushing, Queens. My name's Chris Urban. I'm a managing director with Nardello & Co., which is a global investigations firm. Prior to Nardello, I spent 24 years with the DEA as a special agent. This is Mexico, this is the United States, and this is China. The currencies do not cross borders. The pesos, the dollars, the Chinese RMB. Think of billion-dollar pots of each currency in those countries. Let's look at the Mexican cartels. They produce fentanyl. They ship a large shipment of fentanyl to New York to a drug distribution gang in New York. They then sell that fentanyl, and they say they have $1 million that they need to have laundered back to the Mexican drug cartel. They contact the cartel and say, we have $1 million that we want to move back to you. They contact the Chinese money broker in Mexico. That Chinese money broker, via WeChat, contacts a Chinese broker in New York, saying $1 million needs to be picked up. Mexican cartel contacts their drug distribution arm and says, this Chinese broker is going to pick up the $1 million. They arrange for that pickup. It's brought back to a stash location where they're collecting drug proceeds controlled by this Chinese money broker.
Wow.
Chinese money broker sees that the money is there, $1 million. WeChat messages the Chinese money broker and says, I have the $1 million. At this point in time, those funds are released to the Mexican cartel. They've now been made whole. Their funds have been laundered for them. That $1 million now is sitting in a stash house controlled by Chinese money launderers. They then get on WeChat or a bulletin board and advertise the sale of those US dollars within the United States. Once those dollars were put on WeChat, Chinese nationals, whether they be back in mainland China or within the United States, want to buy dollars. In this example, he's going to buy $100,000. This Chinese national has been introduced by this Chinese broker in mainland China by this Chinese broker. Before he actually gives them the funds, the transfer is made bank to bank. As soon as that's done, he provides the cashier's check or the funds. He now has the funds. He's done. He's made his money. He's invested in the U.S. In the beginning of this, we were trying to understand it. We were following these individuals, and they were picking up millions of dollars. They followed one of these Chinese couriers who had picked up money back to a block and lost him on surveillance, right? And it was later at night, it was dark, it was in Flushing, Queens, and they decided, let's get out, let's walk the block and determine if we can see where he went or where he was. As they were walking down the street, they heard what they thought to be money counters, right? So when they went closer to this building, on the first floor, they had the window open just a little bit. And there were 6 to 8 money counters being run and over $10 million in this stash location. That was the amount of money that they had to bring in, count. Showed the flow of money because they were selling that money the next day to a Chinese buyer that wanted to invest in the United States. Now you can couple that around the world. You could say that in Africa, we noticed Chinese organized crime where there was a Chinese diaspora, right? And there was a Chinese infrastructure project and dramatic amounts of money. Chinese organized crime paralleled those efforts. The same thing is happening whether it be in Italy or throughout Europe. When you have larger narco proceeds that need to be laundered back to Colombia, Mexico, or somewhere else around the globe, Chinese money launderers are relied upon to do that on a much greater scale than they were in the past. They're very sophisticated, they're very professional, and they can get the job done quickly.
All the money and you'll find a mafia.
C'è uno studio che ritiene che solo di depositi illegali nei paradisi fiscali da parte delle mafie italiane ci siano fondi per circa 3.000 miliardi di euro.
Okay. So that gave us a little insight to the laundering issue. They just broke that down to us. What's going on, how they're laundering the money, how they are helping each other, okay? China and Mexico, all right? Now let's connect that to what's been going on, you know, right in front of our face, right? So why would, China be helping cartels, right? The reason is because they have an agreement. They have an agreement and a partnership, okay? Also with other countries. So this was 4 months ago to like 8 months ago, okay? Not too long ago, where all these migrants are coming in through the
China are now the fastest
Mexico
growing
border.
group of people entering the United
Coming
States
through
illegally
Texas,
from Mexico.
California, everywhere.
Why
they
are we
could.
seeing these growing numbers?
Right.
Here's what we know.
New York?
These are like
Customs
grown
and Border
men
Protection
too,
reported more than 24,000 Chinese migrant encounters at the southern border last fiscal year. In 2021,
And I am not a racist person. I do not care about race whatsoever. I am just speaking facts. I am speaking what I see, and I am telling you guys what I think. That's it. All right. I don't hate anybody or nothing like that. I'm just telling people what we should be looking out for and what's going on. Okay.
that number was just 450.
Did you just arrive here in the United States?
The migrants previously told News Nation reporters that they're escaping the Chinese Communist Party and plan to seek asylum in the United States.
向往美国的自由。
Oh my gosh. So y'all all are escaping the communist China. But somehow you were just allowed to leave and allowed to come here. Like, it sounds like the most perfect excuse to me, right? Like, they was almost told to say that. Like, this is what you tell them when you get there. Right? Like, that's what this seems like.
Yearning for American freedom.
Some fly to Ecuador, where no visa is needed.
And I'm sure maybe some are here for freedom, you know, but then you have the ones that are probably marked and, you know, they here for a certain reason.
And then travel north. Others are flying into Tijuana Airport before being guided across the border by smugglers. The Chinese migrants are reportedly willing to pay cartels up to $35,000 for smuggling services. And for a lot of them,
So there we go. We got the cartels, you know, I would say we got them getting this money, right, laundered, and now we have them helping them get over the border. All right.
pays off. More than 50% of Chinese asylum applications
And they
were
are
granted
paying
in
the cartel. They're not
fiscal
just
year.
getting
That's
help.
much
They're
higher
paying
than
them.
the average across all nationalities, which is only 14%. So why are these migrants seeking asylum instead of trying to enter the U.S. legally with a visa? One possible reason is that the United States tightened visa restrictions for people from China over the last several years. In 2016, the U.S. issued 2.2 million temporary visas. In 2022, that number dropped to just 160,000.
They've always consistently had high numbers of asylum seekers. I think second to that is the processing times in the embassies, the U.S. embassies in China are taking so long. Also, it's getting harder for a lot of them to maybe get tourist visas. So some of those folks may have come here as students, tourists, everything like that before, and then ultimately decide, hey, I can't return to my country and seek asylum that way, versus now they can't even get into the U.S. that way. So maybe they're taking this very desperate measure to do the journey even from China.
Social media has also likely played a role in the border
Maybe,
crossings,
or
allowing
maybe
potential migrants
they're
to better
connected.
understand the process and see what the journey is like to
Maybe
enter the United
they're
States.
doing it for a reason. Maybe they're getting help for a reason. Wake up. Wake up, people. So I hate
Wow,
news
I just
reporters
built
like
the most.
that. So look at here, all right? And go here, and there, all right? Next video.
To war. Gordon Chang
across
back
this
with me
one.
this morning. Gordon, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I know you want to really get into specifically that money going to the Indo-Pacific. Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, there are 3 compact states. The United States has a financial obligation to fund these compacts. This is Palau, Marshall Islands, Micronesia. These islands control Pacific. If China gets them, and China's really trying very hard, because it's saying to people in the islands, the U.S. is not funding its obligations, therefore you should ditch the U.S., go to China. That means China would have naval bases close to Hawaii, and that means we would not be able to get across the Pacific to Asia without encountering the Chinese.
So what you're saying...
So you guys heard that, right? They would not even be able to go that way without passing China military, okay? If they were to buy up these, take over these.
Look, the money should go, this supplemental package is important, particularly to ward off the dominance that we continue to see from communist China.
Right, and these compact states, it's $2.4 billion over 20 years. But the other issue, of course, is the border, as you've talked about, because across that border, we are seeing Chinese soldiers come across. And really what we're talking about is China putting together the infrastructure in the U.S. to attack the U.S. So clearly we've got to secure that border, or we're going to be fighting on our own soil.
Well, it's just incredible to me that this administration refuses to acknowledge all these Chinese nationals that are coming through the border. They're creating a little mini army, and I'm wondering what the point is here. Are they trying to put people in place, I'm talking about communist China, so that when and if Donald Trump wins, they can create havoc in the streets and become saboteurs, starting wildfires?
That's crazy. Predictive programming. See this? See what she did there?
Havoc in the streets and become saboteurs.
I mean, she do got a point, though. I mean, she could just be talking, right?
Wildfires and propaganda.
Absolutely. That lab in Reedley, California, the secret Chinese biological weapons facility, that can't be the only one that China has. And then you put together these images of recent Chinese migrants coming into the U.S. less than 3 weeks, taking target practice with sniper rifles and pistols. So really what we have here is the makings of a Chinese army, not in China, but in the United States itself. And the Biden administration is not tracking these people.
This is incredibly disturbing. And you said target. I know you just wrote a piece on this. If you are running from persecution, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a place to live and you want to be safe. You're not exactly going to go pick up a rifle and start doing target practice, are you?
No, and we're hearing over the last week when we talked about this last, there are more and more reports of Chinese taking target practice in the U.S. So it's not.
This is not fear-mongering, though, all right? I don't want y'all to think I'm fear-mongering nothing. This is a wake-up call. We got to wake up. We got to wake up. We got to stop fighting each other. We got to stop putting racism, stupid shit, over real stuff that's really happening, that's really taking place. Like, we gotta wake up. Wake up.
Just the ones that we saw in those images, it's also in Idaho.
It's unbelievable. The Wall Street Journal is out with a report titled "China's Shipyards Are Ready for a Protracted War. America's Aren't." They write this: while Chinese shipyards are thriving and primed to build at wartime rates, U.S. shipbuilding is in disarray. According to this report, Chinese military planners have leveraged the nation's shipbuilding empire to build up the world's largest navy. I've talked about this with General Jack Keane many times, who told me we are, bottom line, outgunned when it comes to the Navy in the U.S. versus the Chinese Navy.
Clearly, China has more ships than we do. You know, we say our ships are more capable, as the chief of naval operations said yesterday. But the point is, you know, when you have a lot of quantity, you can overwhelm quality. And really, this is a problem that's been decades in the making. But Biden doesn't seem to care about it because there is no push to really build American ships. You know, it's not just commercial ships, it's Navy ships as well. This is a problem because the Chinese can build ships like 300 times faster than we can.
With over 8 million beats from.
So they can build ships that fast. And who are they all in cahoots with? Russia, Iran, all right? Mexico, obviously. They helping them right now. They got to be a part of it. Terrorists, you know, terrorists, cartel members, not too far off. All right, and then you got the communist China that will kill you for breaking any law or anything, okay? And then Iran also, they will kill their women or whatever over whatever they believe in. Okay, so very extremist type stuff. Extremist groups, all right? Let's go ahead, go to our next source. We got right here.
Report of both North Korea and Iran. The Indo-Pacific commander calls it a new axis of evil with China at the forefront. Now, while addressing U.S. lawmakers, the military general said that the only counter to this new axis of evil was to forge alliances with like-minded allies in the region. Now, of course, this is not the first time that these alarm bells have gone off in Washington over deepening ties between China and Russia. In fact, the U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin also says that Russia has grown closer to both North Korea and Iran.
As President Biden has said, we will not walk away. Now, Putin hoped to isolate Ukraine. Instead, he left himself alone with Iran and North Korea. And that's a far cry from the some 50 nations of goodwill from all around the world who gathered again today. Our allies and partners are here because they understand the stakes.
Now, Putin continues to target Ukraine with weapons procured from both Pyongyang and Tehran. And at the same time, Russia's economy has now become highly dependent on China. In fact, last year, trade between the two nations reached an all-time high of $240 billion. Previously, the Pentagon has made a clear distinction between Russia and China, characterizing Beijing as a challenge and Moscow as a threat. However, U.S. officials believe that Putin's war in Ukraine could embolden Chinese leadership with regards to Taiwan and the South China Sea. American intelligence agencies warn that a security coalition involving Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran would be detrimental to regional peace and stability. One reason for this, Russia, China, and North Korea possess nuclear weapons, and Iran has enough uranium stockpiles to create weapons of mass destruction. American military leaders are urging lawmakers to counter the new axis of evil. This would include forging deeper ties with like-minded allies, including South Korea, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the Philippines. But this all begs the question, will U.S. lawmakers move to provide the $60 billion in aid to Ukraine that it so desperately needs to push back against Russia? Moscow is clearly the catalyst in this new rising threat to global order and stability.
So you guys can see that they are all linking up, all right? They're linking up how they already knew they were going to link up, all right? This has just been a process in the making, all right? It's been taking a little bit of time for things to expose themselves, but now you can see bright as day what's going on, all right? You can see, they telling us. Russia and North Korea pledged to defend each other. It shouldn't be underestimated. This was 7 days ago. I don't even think we got to watch this video to understand what they're saying, right? You can watch maybe a couple minutes. That's why like 2 minutes out of it, all right?
Ukraine, as North Korea continues to provide weapons and munitions to Russia as their stockpiles dwindle. For more on those meetings in North Korea today, NBC News international correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer filed this report.
Russian President Vladimir Putin got a warm red carpet welcome from Kim Jong-un. There was even a moment of awkward debate over who would be first to get into Kim's luxury car, which incidentally was a gift from Putin. Throughout the state visit, the two remained side by side, projecting unity as they walked past soldiers, horses, groups of children. After 2 hours of talks, they signed a strategic defense treaty that provides mutual assistance in case of aggression against either of the two countries. Putin said the agreement lifts their ties to a new level as they're both looking to strengthen their partnership in the face of sanctions from the West. Kim pronounced North Korea's unwavering support for Russia in the war with Ukraine, and Putin thanked him for that. The question is, what comes next. North Korea has been accused of providing Russia with ammunition and missiles, and the worry is that more deliveries will follow this visit. Moscow, in return, can provide food, energy, and other aid, as well as the sort of technology that could help North Korea boost its missile and nuclear programs. All of this is raising alarms for the U.S. and the West.
Yeah, all of this is raising alarms, but it really don't scare me. Like, none of this really scares me. It's just all about being prepared for what's to come. What's the worst thing that can possibly happen? Like, people are so far astray and so worried about putting racism first and, you know, just being prejudiced still, all type of just stupid stuff. Like, people are so worried about that they don't see a real threat like this coming. You know, like, people are too much on these social media apps and just making fake accounts, all type of stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it all has to do with this. Like, this is crazy.
Addressing the U.S. Congress in 2002, President George W. Bush warned of an, quote, axis of evil that threatened America and global security. Bush included 3 countries in the axis of evil: North Korea, Saddam Hussein's Iraq, and ruled by the Ayatollah's Iran. 20 years later, the concept of the axis of evil is back, albeit in a slightly different format. When Russian armored columns entered Ukraine on February 24, 2022, the idea of an axis of evil was given a second life and returned to the political debate for good. Republican congressmen and some international policy experts began to talk about the emergence of a, quote, new axis of evil that not only attacked Ukraine, but above all challenged American hegemony and therefore the countries of the West. President Biden's administration shies away from referring to the, quote, new axis of evil concept, but key Republican Party officials have been popularizing it for months. Among others, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, or one of Donald Trump's main rivals for the Republican Party's nomination for the US presidency, Nikki Haley, have talked about the new axis of evil. The concept has also been picked up by the US press, including the opinionated Wall Street Journal. Members of the revived new axis of evil include China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Russia is at the center of this puzzle, as it is the one waging war against Ukraine. But the longer this war goes on, the more Russia's ability to wage it depends on the economic and military aid it receives from China, Iran, and North Korea. It is these countries that are driving the Russian war machine.
Yeah.
How are Beijing, Tehran, and Pyongyang helping Russia in its war against Ukraine? What do they want in return? Is the, quote, new axis of evil cemented by a deep community of interests, or is the cooperation primarily tactical and short-term in nature? Welcome to the 20th Report.
Replay Poker. As many of you have seen, because I've streamed it before,
Consider leaving a like if you enjoyed the video to aid the algorithm. In September 2022, a drone was shot down near Kupiansk in eastern Ukraine. When Ukrainians examined the wreckage, it turned out to be an Iranian Shahed 136. This was...
I'll stop there. If y'all want to watch this video, you can see this on Good Times, Bad Times. Come and check it out, alright? If you want to see the full video for that, but I'm going to get up out of here on that. I can't watch this whole video. That intro was good enough, okay, to explain what I've been talking about. Okay, here we go.
To me, it is outrageous to think that the Chinese police would attempt to set up shop, in New York, let's say, without proper coordination. It violates sovereignty and circumvents standard judicial and law enforcement cooperation processes.
Hey all, I'm John Avlon, and this is Reality Check on the Extremist Beat. Now, in the struggle between democracies and autocracies, there have been increasing reports of foreign governments ignoring borders and reaching right into free societies. I'm not just talking about the so-called spy balloons, but on-the-ground efforts by secret police to intimidate individuals in immigrant communities. In fact, get this, there are more than 100 Chinese government-backed overseas police stations operating in more than 50 sovereign nations right now, including the United States and Canada. That's according to a recent blockbuster report by the human rights NGO Safeguard Defenders. Now, in recent months, the FBI has conducted raids of some of these accused local outposts. And in late 2022, 7 Chinese nationals were charged by the Department of Justice for intimidating a longtime U.S. resident to return to China to face charges as part of an anti-corruption effort known as Operation Fox Hunt. Now, the Chinese government denies any wrongdoing. They say that these foreign officers are just used to do things like renew licenses. But at the same time, they tout the stat that some 230,000 Chinese nationals were persuaded to return to face criminal trials in China from overseas between April 2021 and July 2022 alone. Now, persuaded to return sounds like a euphemism for something a lot uglier. Because often this persuasion process is coercive. For example, threatening the safety of family members at home if the target doesn't comply. Taken together, it is a stunning breach of state sovereignty and a significant flexing of Chinese muscle overseas to assert the international reach of the CCP. Joining us to discuss the reality behind.
So you just see, man, how deep they've been. And this is just all on the top of the surface. We didn't even see what's below the surface. You feel me? Like, we get in there, but, you know, this is just, they just showing us the top. We gonna have to wait to see what continues to happen from here, where this goes.
What happened this week? Because there's an alliance that we need to pay attention to. Wall Street Journal, here you go. How Putin rebuilt Russia's war machine with help from U.S. adversaries. Iran, North Korea, and China are supplying the people and know-how to tool up Russia's factories and churn out arms for the war in Ukraine. This relationship could be very dangerous for us for a very long time. How do you see it?
Yeah, very much so. 4 days after the State of the Union, our intelligence chiefs came before a scheduled meeting with the Congress. And they said these 4 countries that you have identified here represent a threat to the United States we haven't seen in multiple decades. In looking at this, what we're really facing is collaboration and cooperation among 4 distinct allies. China is a near-peer competitor. Russia is a chronic threat. Iran seeks domination of the Middle East, and in North Korea has a nuclear arsenal with ballistic missiles that can reach the United States. This is serious. We believe at ISW that we haven't seen a threat like this since World War II. Why? Because we could get involved in more than one war in multiple theaters. That is really the issue that we're facing. And here's the problem, Bill. The intelligence chief said this is very serious. We haven't seen it in decades. We're saying we haven't really seen anything like this since World War II. Where is the administration having a frank conversation with the American people about the seriousness of this threat and how it would impact American security? It is not happening. And that is pretty outrageous and shameful.
This as we continue to see these escalating clashes happening in the Middle East. Trey Yingst just gave us a full report between Israel and Hezbollah. Do you believe that they are inching closer to all-out war?
Yeah, they are. And the Israelis have made up their minds that they need to take a look at the Hezbollah situation. And we have a map here, hopefully we can bring it up here, that deals with it. But the reality is that 80,000 people who lived in northern Israel have evacuated from northern Israel. And in a sense, Hezbollah has redefined the boundary of northern Israel. The Israelis believe they have got to go in there and deal with Hezbollah. And they have to push them back across the Litani. That's not the right map, but they have to push them back across the Litani River. Mm-hmm. This is 18 miles from the border. That is the issue. To push them back, they have 2 choices. Run an air campaign only to obviously bomb them and force them to evacuate or go in on the ground and also conduct an air campaign. Hezbollah is formidable. Hamas is nowhere near Hezbollah's capability. Hezbollah doesn't have the subterranean tunnel complex. But here's the problem. 150,000 rockets and missiles can reach any town or any city and swarm those towns and cities. A force of close to 100,000, not just a terrorist organization, but organized as military formations with artillery and fighting vehicles. When the Israelis went in there in 2006, after several weeks trying to do the same thing.
Which is why? Because we fucking... Man, we gave Iran all them guns and stuff, bro. What was that, not too long ago when that just happened? That's exactly what happened. I know this is right here. Yeah, exactly. This was. Yep.
On May 27th of 2023, Taliban soldiers attacked an Iranian military border checkpoint using their captured U.S. military weapons and vehicles that were left behind during the Afghanistan withdrawal. Some internet meme lords then claimed the CIA was playing tactical 4D chess, purposely leaving behind $7 billion worth of U.S. military equipment in order to arm the Taliban against the larger adversary of Iran. Unlikely though, because the attack is actually part of a much larger pattern of escalation between the two countries over an ongoing major water dispute. Since the Afghanistan portion of the river is on the upstream side, the Taliban now controls the flow of the river into Iran. Over 90% of Iran's 87 million people faced drought conditions in 2023, which is why this conflict from their perspective is so important to their survival. So could this new battle lead to an Iranian invasion of Afghanistan? It's not that hard to imagine, because we'll see this isn't even the first time in these two's history where they've been on the brink of all-out war. But first, I created a catchy jingle to help myself remember who I can call if I ever got in an accident. People.com or dial #law, that's pound 529 from your cell phone. The combat took place outside the Iranian village of Makakai. Satellite imagery, along with ground combat footage published on Twitter, appears to reveal a Taliban attack position situated near a rocky berm just a few hundred meters from the Iranian border outpost. Video footage shows the Taliban fighters engaging with small arms weaponry, including US-manufactured M240 machine guns and M16 rifles, of which thousands were left behind in the withdrawal. In one video, we see the Taliban successfully hit one of the Iranian guard towers using what appears to be an RPG. Another video captures the Taliban fighters firing from the berm.
So wow, bro, but I thought like right after this happened, and they said that the Taliban was with Iran. Like, I can't really remember it, but I felt like that is what happened, like at the end of the day. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Afghanistan and Iran are still going at it. Afghan forces to now help Hezbollah. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Now, if you've been flying your drone for a while and you want to start using your drone commercially, or you want to get a career in
no, man, I feel like the more I just be thinking, this stuff just be popping up. Foes turn friends. No, bro, they were never freaking foes, bro. That Taliban shit was made up. Like, I don't know what that was. You leave all them guns over there and fake a damn war. Like, I don't know. You know, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. So now y'all teaming up to go fight in Israel. Against Israel. Like, that's pretty crazy. And it was backed by the U.S. Allegedly. Let's say allegedly, because that's not just true, right? But this shit is crazy. This is crazy. And border turns into hotbed. Well, yeah, it's for sure about to get crazy, man. It's gonna be a hot summer everywhere. I thought it's gonna be in Cali, bro, but it's about to be everywhere. A lot of stuff is about to pop off before October. It's just crazy.
Push the Hezbollah
All
back.
we could do is just stay
After
prepared,
several weeks, the
stay ahead of
operation had
everything.
failed,
See
and they
these new
retreated
videos
out.
coming out, and understand where this is going, what they're trying to tell us, right? That's all we can do. Get ready, get supplies, get emergency supplies, get emergency water, all that type of stuff. Have your guns, have your ammo. You're gonna need it. You like, if we get invaded by all these countries or whatever, all they gotta do is just drop out the sky in different main hubs, main states. Oh, let's drop here, Cali. Let's drop in New York. In certain areas, and just try to take it over and start there and then spread like wildfire, right? And that's all they really got to try to do. And if we ain't ready for a threat like that, or, anything like that to happen, you done. There ain't no way you're going to make it through that. You're probably going to get locked up, taken to some camp or something, and that's it.
Out of Lebanon, and all 3 service chiefs were relieved of duty as a result of it. They know this will be a very tough fight, but they believe they have to do it if they're going to maintain the sovereignty of Israel and have the border that they want to have.
18 years later, it could be a hot summer again in northern Israel. Let's see if that's the case. Now to Ukraine. We do have a map we can show that you and I have talked about at great length. And what it shows is the Ukrainian capacity on behalf of their military, with extensive help from Western nations, including the United States, with the capacity to hit Russian forces on the Russian side of the border. But this map shows you where the Russian troops are and where the Ukrainians are not allowed to hit.
Yeah, we have a huge problem here, and the administration isn't coming clean about what's actually happening here. Can we put the map back up so I can talk to it a little bit? Yeah, you see that bright red area there across from Ukraine? That is where we can fire HIMARS, or what they call guided multiple rocket launchers, into that. That's 75 kilometers into that. But see all the gray area outside of that? That's the Russian sanctuary where we cannot fire. That's all Russian territory. All the air bases that Russia is using to bomb Ukraine are largely in that area. Those are those little white circles there.
Come on, bro.
They're ground bases, they're logistic bases.
That's what you want to go blow up, right?
And the administration has told Ukraine they cannot fire the weapons that we've given them, the ATACMS missiles, to fire into that territory. That is absolutely makes no sense.
No sense.
To not be able.
No sense. Why give them missiles if they can't use it? Why they can't even use it on where they're flying out and bombing them? Like, what?
To do
There's
that.
just so much stuff
really
that just don't make sense. It's like they try to put stuff in a way to make it make sense, but it don't make sense. Like, you can't tell me that just because this is grayed out, like, you can't hit it. Like, no, I'm blasting that. Blow it up.
Cuffing them
Damn.
in their ability to
Ain't no
protect
way.
their own people, but also in their ability to bring down
If I'm the
the
guy
military
over there in
capability that
Ukraine,
Russia
I'm
has.
sending them.
It is very, very vulnerable. And even Russia, they've been on the offense because Ukraine has been on defense this year because they were waiting 6 months to get the weapons. They haven't made much progress at all. They showed up with new soldiers. They're poorly trained, poorly equipped. They made some tactical gains, but were never able to really develop operational maneuver to take significant amount of territory. They took very high casualties, all like they did back in the beginning of the invasion. Ukraine, we can turn the tide in their favor, and the administration has got to stop handicapping them.
General, thank you. We'll see whether or not that happens, whether that day arrives. And if it does, we'll see what Putin does at that point.
Man, our president.
Thank you, General.
Great to have you here, General. Thank you.
Bro.
Great discussion.
We don't even got a president right now. It's like everything just go out the window, go through one ear and out his other, because ain't nothing getting done.
Saudi Arabia has officially.
While they're also, these same nations are getting rid of the dollar bill, okay? Getting rid of it and coming out with this new currency called BRICS, right? Getting rid of the currency, and they coming out with this, all right? And of course, if those countries are all put together right now, oh yeah, see, we got some right here. High alert. Putin, China, and BRICS just dropped a massive bomb on the U.S. dollar. Yep. See, so if all these countries are coming together, and they're that big too, that's a big chunk of the U.S. dollar not being used anymore, okay, in different countries, which is a big deal.
Ended its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States, shifting to a multi-currency system for oil sales. Well, this transition allows Saudi Arabia to sell oil in various currencies. This move coincides with Saudi Arabia's participation as a guest nation at the BRICS Outreach Ministerial Meeting in Russia. Well, BRICS now comprising 10 full members, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, UAE, and Ethiopia. And they all are pushing for greater use of local currencies in foreign trade and financial transactions. BRICS meeting, held for the first time since the group's expansion in 2023, emphasized the requirement for reforms in international financial institutions, including the IMF. Meanwhile, both China and Russia, both these countries have called out the West for building walls and disrupting global trade.
Called out the West. Everything sounds like it's the West problem right now. Is what they're trying to make it seem like. But yeah, that's basically going to be it for this one. Shit, this video.
If you really want to be a CEO, want to be.
I must be living in a nightmare. How is it possible that in 3 short years we have witnessed such a monumental shift in the global world order, that it would leave the Roman Empire shocked and appalled? After all, the Roman Empire took about 200 years to finally collapse. It was a slow burn. This week, we saw a number of massive stories that were once again ignored by the mainstream media, from the BRICS nations shaking up the financial system to major geopolitical movements involving Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia. Putin calling for peace, and NATO crapping all over it, saying, no, we don't want your peace. Take your peace and shove it. We want more war.
So this is not a peace proposal.
To Biden shaking hands with Zelensky, agreeing to fund Ukraine for another 10 years. 10 more years, billions of dollars,
like that,
while America crumbles. Yes, we're going to send billions to the most corrupt government in Europe.
I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion.
The winds of change are blowing strong right now, so buckle up because we're going to dive deep into all of this tonight. So let's start with the transformative events recently announced by the BRICS nations. Now, if you're not familiar with BRICS, it started, as the name suggests, as a loose economic and trade partnership between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now it's exploded, becoming a powerhouse, creating their very own currency away from the US dollar dominance. And countries are racing right now to join the BRICS coalition and ditch the US dollar. Well, we have 2 huge BRICS stories this week. First, BRICS announced a new payment system that directly challenges the dominance of the US dollar in international transactions. No more SWIFT system. Guys, the currency part of it is one thing, but the infrastructure to settle transactions is now out of US hands. This move marks a significant step away from the dollar-centric global economy that we've been knowing for decades. Even more shocking is the end of a 50-year agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia, which required the export of oil exclusively in US dollars.
Saudi Arabia has officially ended its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States, shifting to a multi-currency system.
So on June 9th, 2024, just a few days ago, this agreement officially ended. That's right. Saudi Arabia officially said bye-bye. The Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has chosen not to renew the partnership with the United States, opting instead to open Saudi oil trade to other countries and other currencies. Hello, China. Hello, Russia. I mean, holy smokes, guys. I mean, I can't understate how big a deal this is.
So having Saudi Arabia, the backbone of the petrodollar, join BRICS. I mean, you couldn't make up a bigger slap in the face. I can guarantee you they are not feeling very good right now in Washington, D.C.
This is a massive blow to the status of the U.S. dollar as the world's only reserve currency, a position it has held for 5 decades. Now, we've been warning for months that this was about to happen, with Saudi Arabia now joining China's central bank digital currency project. We are witnessing a seismic shift in the landscape of global trade and global finance. The era of the US dollar as the sole superpower currency is officially over. And this is not hyperbole. US dollar dominance is now over. Liberals can try to...
And there you have it, folks. The US dollar is failing. We got people walking in our country. We got those same people, our leaders, working with cartels to launder money. We got North Korea and Russia sealing a deal, all right? I just see right here, Malaysia joins BRICS. Okay, so everybody joined. So here we go, y'all. So I hope y'all paid attention in this live. This is going to be up on the channel. Go back, rewatch it. And yeah, I just hope y'all enjoyed this one. We're going to be back with another one tomorrow. That one's going to be focused on a different topic. But yeah, I just had this download tonight. I had to get this video done real quick. It isn't all making sense to me. So I hope it's making sense to everybody else. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your night or good start to your day. And yeah, stay blessed, man. Stay prepared and wake up other people. Send this video, like this video, subscribe, all that, comment, if you liked it, so it get out to more people, because I am not a person that YouTube takes lightly. They do not let me get any shine, all right? Any of the platforms, they try to blackball me real quick, all right? Because I'm always speaking that real stuff. So, yeah, any support, all support is, highly appreciated. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.